Before we begin, let me ask you something. What happens when one of America's biggest enemies launches massive missile strikes in the Middle East and threatens one of our closest allies? Do we hesitate or do we move? Because what you're about to see proves one thing very clearly. When the alarm goes off inside the United States Armed Forces, the entire war machine starts moving. If you believe America must stay strong and never bow to enemies like Iran, make sure you subscribe to Undiluted Truth and hit that like button right now. This channel is where we break down the stories the mainstream media refuses to tell you. Now let's talk about what just happened. After massive missile strikes launched by Iran against Israel, combat alerts were raised across the U.S. military. This wasn't political theater, this was real operational readiness. And when that signal goes out, things start happening fast. Across multiple bases in the United States, Marines were pulled from their barracks and transported straight to airfields. No delays, no waiting around. Bus after bus rolled up to the runway where one of the most powerful cargo aircraft on Earth was already waiting with its ramp open. The Boeing C-17 Globemaster III. Inside and around the aircraft, cargo crews were moving at full speed. Forklifts carried pallets of ammunition, communications equipment, portable generators, medical supplies, everything needed for sustained combat operations thousands of miles from home. And the Marines didn't board empty-handed. All of that gear was strapped into the cargo bay alongside the troops, because when America deploys forces overseas, we bring the full capability needed to win. But this was just the beginning. That aircraft wasn't even going straight to the Middle East yet. It had orders to stop at another military base to pick up even more troops and equipment before heading toward the region. Meanwhile, at nearby bases, the tempo was already escalating. More cargo aircraft were being loaded with combat vehicles. Armored trucks rolled up the ramps, tactical buggies, heavy armored vehicles designed to survive roadside bombs. Among them were vehicles like the MRAP, built specifically for the brutal realities of modern warfare. This wasn't just troop movement, this was a full operational buildup. And while transport crews handled the logistics, another group was preparing something even more critical, the fighter jets. On another airfield, maintenance crews began the intense process of preparing aircraft for combat sorties. These jets would soon be flying missions day after day over a volatile region. Every system had to be flawless. Technicians inspected avionics systems, radar arrays were tested, electrical wiring was checked panel by panel. Engine intakes were examined for even the smallest debris, because when pilots are flying into dangerous airspace, there is no margin for error. Then came the weapons. Missiles were mounted onto wingtip rails. Precision-guided bombs were attached to underwing pylons. Each weapon carefully connected to the aircraft's electronics and targeting systems, and every single one of them inspected again. Safety pins with red flags remained in place until the aircraft was ready to taxi. This level of preparation is what separates the United States Air Force from every other air force in the world. At another part of the base, soldiers were doing something much quieter, but just as serious. They were packing. Duffel bags filled with uniforms, boots, hygiene kits, personal belongings, everything they would need for deployment. But here's the part that hits hard. These troops were being sent to a base in the Middle East with no clear timeline for when they would return. That's the sacrifice the men and women of our military make so Americans can live in safety.
Inbound.
As the sun went down, the order came down to board the aircraft. Columns of soldiers formed outside the hangars and began marching toward their assigned planes. They walked up the ramps of the waiting cargo aircraft and took their seats. Loadmasters conducted final cargo checks, final head counts. Then the ramps closed. One by one, the aircraft taxied onto the runway and lifted into the night sky. Hours later, those same Boeing C-17 Globemaster aircraft touched down in the Middle East. The moment the wheels hit the runway, unloading began. Ramps dropped. Soldiers stepped out onto the tarmac. Vehicles were unchained and driven off the aircraft. Cargo pallets were pulled away by forklifts. Everything moved fast, because the buildup wasn't stopping there. Those same aircraft would turn around and fly back to the United States to bring even more troops. This is what global power projection actually looks like. And while transport aircraft kept arriving, maintenance crews worked around the clock preparing fighter jets for combat operations. Fuel trucks pumped JP-8 fuel into aircraft tanks. Weapons crews mounted air-to-air missiles and precision bombs. One jet after another. Fuel, weapons, inspection.
Fly.
Fuel, weapons, inspection. By the time the pilots arrived for their mission briefings, every aircraft on the ramp was fully armed, fueled, and ready to fly. Now here's the truth the media rarely talks about. America's strength isn't just about politics in Washington. It's about the thousands of men and women behind the scenes who make this military machine function. When our enemies see aircraft carriers, bombers, and fighter jets ready for combat, it sends a message. And that message is simple. If you threaten our allies or attack our interests, the United States is ready. As a conservative, I believe peace is achieved through strength. Weakness invites aggression. Strength prevents it. And what we're witnessing here is the United States reminding the world exactly what American strength looks like. But now I want to hear from you. Do you believe the United States should take a harder stance against Iran after these attacks? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want honest breakdowns like this without the media filter, make sure you subscribe to Undiluted Truth and hit that like button so this video reaches more people. Because the truth should never be diluted.